Well, good evening. Welcome to this evening's lecture. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce Daniel Turay to you. Daniel is my close friend and colleague in international development from Sierra Leone. He has greatly facilitated Houghton's work in Sierra Leone, particularly the 4 May terms that I was involved in, taking students on research trips to that country. Daniel is the former regional coordinator for World Hope International in the northern province of Sierra Leone. And he is now the founder and president of the Center for Positive Attitude and Sustainable Development located in McKinney. Daniel is a passionate advocate of attitudinal change as an instrument of development. And just to provide some confirmation of this point of view from someone you may have heard of or read, I have a quotation for you from Chuck Swindoll. Many of you have probably read Charles Swindoll. I don't know, there may be a generational lag here. I'm not sure about that. So the younger people may not know Charles Swindoll, but I taught many a Sunday school class using Chuck Swindoll materials and listened to many a radio broadcast by this Christian thinker. So here is what Chuck Swindoll has to say about attitude. And I quote, "The longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude to me is more important than facts. It is more important than the past, than education, than money, than circumstances, than failures, than successes, than what other people think or say or do. It is more important than appearance, giftedness, or skill. It will make or break a company, a church, a home. The remarkable thing is we have a choice every day regarding the attitude we will embrace for that day. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is play on the one string we have, and that is our attitude. I am convinced that life is 10% what happens to me and 90% how I react to it, and so it is with you. We are in charge of our attitudes." Well, before I ever ran into the quotation from Chuck Swindoll, I learned all of those things from this man. Please welcome Daniel Turay.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I'm privileged today to be here under the auspices of the president of this college and the entire administration. I'm really grateful. I consider it a unique opportunity for me to be here standing today to talk to you people about a whole concept that people play with, people take for granted. People think it's just a mere word. This is something that determines who you are or who you will be tomorrow. And so I'm here today to come and share with you guys what I really understand. It may not make sense to you, but I just feel that I should do it here. And the other thing, I find myself in a different culture, a different situation, but at the end, you will all accept that the attitudinal change concept is a universal concept that can be applied anywhere to anybody at any time. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about my CBO community-based organization back at home. Center for Positive Attitude and Sustainable Development, we call it CPAD for short. Our mission is self-reliant and sustainable country. Our mission statement is promoting sustainable development through positive attitude and behavior change. Our core values are sustainability. Sorry. Let me just. sustainability, empowerment, collaboration and networking, and transformation, which is the end product of all that we'll be doing. We engage people, stakeholders, in talking about negative effects of certain things that people engage themselves. And we are with the opinion that we need to network with other people because the issue of attitude is not a single man's thing. As I always say, a single finger cannot pick a stone. And no matter how a cotton tree is, it will always remain a cotton tree. It will never be a forest. And so we always need each other to work in an atmosphere we'll be able to achieve more goals. Our aim, actually, these are some of the objectives. We educate communities on the concept and the process that is involved in attitudinal change concepts. We encourage individuals and communities to renounce the negative attitude and adopt positive attitude. Create opportunities for individuals and communities to participate in attitudinal change activities. To collaborate with agencies with a similar vision and mission. To establish sub-offices in the district and chiefdoms throughout Sierra Leone. This is our long-term goal. Next. Sierra Leone is well endowed with natural resources, yet near the bottom of the Human Development Index. One of the things that when the present president in our country, Ernest Bai came into power in 2012, September 27. And so one of his vision was, until Sierra Leoneans change their attitudes, that country will never get anywhere. I didn't come up with this CBO because of his vision. I have already been in this thing since 2006. And he came into power in 2012, you know. And one of the things he was saying in his maiden speech, in his inauguration, this was one of the things he really emphasized. 75 to 80% of that speech was talking about the attitudinal change concept, you know. But then I always ask myself and ask others few questions. How many Sierra Leoneans really understand the attitudinal and behavioral change concepts? How many see the ABC as a human value? Do we give it actually a human value or a human face? Or we think it is coming from a politician who just say, this is politics, you know? And how many appreciate the ABC concept? Why the ABC concept is important to Sierra Leone? How many accept the ABC as a way forward for that country? Next. What attitudes do Sierra Leoneans exhibit that, if fully developed, will lead to prosperity? Because when he came, the first term of office, he was talking about attitudinal change. The second term of office is talking about the agenda for prosperity. But then, I am with the opinion that if we don't change our behavior, how can we achieve the agenda for prosperity? If our mindset, our thinking remains the same, how can we achieve? These are some of the questions normally I read about. What prevents Sierra Leoneans from developing positive attitude? How do Sierra Leoneans acquire negative attitude? Will ABC survive once President Nkrumah leaves office? That is a question I always wonder. I have been in it before him, and I will also continue to be in it until God takes my life. And people will always be there that will take from me. So these are some of the questions normally I pose to people, because I find it very difficult. The same things that brought the war in that country, we still see some of those things. Next slide. Then, before talking about this whole concept, we need to explain to people so that they can understand what is attitude, behavior, and change. sometimes a lot of people do interchange these words. You know, instead of attitude, they talk about behavior. But these are some of the things, when you talk about the word itself, is the mental filter through which you see the world. We all know the function of a filter, you know. So your mind is like, it works like a filter. It tells you what is good and what is not good. So it is in that you process the whole thing in your life. And it determines what you want to do and what you want to say. It can either be negative or positive. You know, only individuals can control their own attitude. That is why it is very difficult. You can't change somebody. It is somebody changing himself or herself. Don't ever do that mistake that I will change your life. No. It is the person that has the onus and the responsibility to do that. Because all the things, his ideas, his views, his opinion, perception, they are all embedded inside his mind. So you can never tell. So that is why we are saying that it is the person that has total control over his attitude. And we are saying here, attitude precedes and predicts your behavior. So that is the difference here. Next slide. Now, the action or reaction to internal or external stimuli. That is normally when what is inside us is exhibited outside. What you see becomes your behavior. It is as a result of either a stimuli or a reaction to a statement or whatever. The manner in which persons typically act preceded and controlled by attitude. Next slide. But then, I also think that attitude didn't just come like that. I also try to discuss the 4 ways in which attitude and behavior is developed. One of the ways is hereditary. Hereditary, of course, biologists will always tell you about genes, what have you. These are certain things that you inherit either directly from your parents or your ancestors. There are certain things normally we take from our parents. They will say, look at this child. He looks like his father, but he talks like his father. So that is one aspect. And the second one is acquired. Nobody here today seated that will ever remain to stay with his parents from day one until the time God calls you home. You must have time to interact with other people. You have the peer group pressure. That is where certain things normally people acquire them. You see at home parents, there are certain things at home your children don't do, but then you begin to observe, they begin to talk, certain things that you begin to wonder, what is happening? It tells you that this is the environmental factor, you know, that is now influencing the attitude and behavior of that child. Of course, the moral life of an individual is developed through religion. Plays a dominant role in our morality. And the 4th one I talked about is culture and tradition. This is very strong. For every tribe, every group must have certain things that they do as a group. And so that also has an influence in the development of one's culture or one's attitude and behavior. So these are the 4 things. But then I also needed to tell you, if we talk about somebody being positive, this is a positive guy, what are some of the attributes that you will see from that individual? These are some of them. Optimistic. People who have a positive mind, they are always optimistic about life. They know the life we live is full of challenges. It is not when they face one difficulty, they say, oh, that's the end of life. That's it, I'll give up. Persistent, courageous, approachable, growing spiritually, grateful, encouraging others. This is one thing that really happens even as students. Sometimes you fail a paper. Somebody will just come, oh, that's not the end of your life. You know, they will come and say, oh, you know, next time, keep trying, you'll make it. Okay? Now, positive attributes of Sierra Leone. Now, I decided to bring this out. You have your own. But these are some of the things that really I brought out as a way to see some of the good things about our country. You know, natural resource endowment is just perfect. We have diamonds, iron ore, bauxite, gold, you name it. I think we have about 12 minerals in Sierra Leone. And that's an endowment which I can boast of. Religious tolerance, you know, Sierra Leone is highly acclaimed for religious tolerance. And I don't remember if it was 2010 or 2011 when the president was given the Nobel Prize because of our country being a country that's highly acclaimed for religious tolerance. Loving and accommodating attitudes. We are very loving. Paul can attest to what I'm saying. Ron here, even the students that have been to Sierra Leone, he will tell you, we are quite loving people. Forgiving, that's what we are. We had an 11-year war in that country, and the rebels did a lot of nasty things. But today, we dine and wine together. That's what the Sierra Leone looks like. Accepting of inter-ethnic marriage. Of course, we do accept intermarriages back home, and that really keeps us together. Next slide. But then, we want to turn the coin on the other side. There are always two coins to the side. There are always two sides to the coin. The positive, and now we want to look at the negative aspect of somebody who is negative. And students, you have to be watchful. They are very pessimistic. Nothing works in their life. Problem focused all the time. They will say, oh, they will complain, this lecturer is not good. Another one will come again, it's not good. That's all about people who are really negative. Nothing works for them. Everything is negative. Everything is bad. And we always look for faults. They look at the screen, they ignore the good things about people. They are looking for the tiny black dots. You know? And the sooner they see it, that's it. That's the man. I told you, he's not a good man. He's not a good guy. Next. Now, this is the sad thing about my country. We discussed the positive aspects. Now we are looking at the negative things. By the end of this list, you will see that it supersedes all the positive things in my country. And that is where the problem is. Corruption. Widespread corruption. Tribal and regional bias. That's our politics in our country is not based on merit. It's based on tribal lands. He's my tribesman. You know, he is my man. We come from the same place, regardless of whoever he is. You know, weak legal government institution. You know, corruption. These are all the effects of corruption. I mean, systems will never work. They try to survive, but it's sad. Poor maintenance culture. We keep making rules every 2-3 years. It's really sad because agreements are poorly done, and when contractors take a contract, they do a poor job, and they will come back after 1 or 2 years. You see, our government most of the time are reactive rather than being proactive. When things start, you will sit by Ebola started with just a single person from a single town. Today it's all over the country because we are not proactive. That's the problem. We wait until things get worse. And it's not just about Sierra Leone, even in developed countries, it happens. Nobody was prepared for Ebola. And today it's Ebola, you buy newspaper, you listen to television, everywhere, because we didn't prepare for Ebola. So most times we are reacting rather than being proactive. And our culture, most of our people, they yearn, especially the youth, they yearn for the West. You know, and Sierra Leone is gradually losing its culture because of the West. Lacking patriotism. Sierra Leoneans, most of the time you go to the embassies, especially the American and the European embassies, most Sierra Leoneans want to leave their country to come to Europe or America. You know, to me, it's sad. You want to come and enjoy countries that people have toiled and made their lives. You want to leave. Whom do you expect to make your country? Whom do you expect? If you leave your country and then come to the US or go to Europe, whom do you expect to go and make your country? Americans worked hard, and today America is America. Somebody was asking me on my first trip, say, how can you describe America? I told him, America is America. That's what I told him. And he asked me what? He said, all that I've had and I've seen myself when I came here. But then there was a nasty statement, sorry about it, I don't feel offended. I gave him another quote. That's the other thing, America is technologically advanced, but morally backward. Because there are certain things here that I see, we don't accept it in our culture. Sorry, please